Here we are in early August, and it's certainly time for almost all of us to be thinking about fall food plots. I break fall food plots down into two categories. Small, what we call hidey-ho food plots. They're designed simply to attract deer so you can see them at close range. And like the food plot I'm standing in, larger food plots that certainly can be hunted, but they're large enough to provide quality nutrition for deer and other critters in the area. I gotta tell you, this food plot doesn't look as good as normal as food plots here in the proving grounds. In fact, it reminds me of plots during 2012 when we experienced a wicked drought. If you look at the Climate Prediction Center maps for in the past, or the 2-week, 4-week, or even longer forecast, right here in southern Missouri, we're in a wicked drought zone, and there's not a lot of relief in sight. Several people throughout the south, west, and even east are experiencing similar drought conditions, but I've got a bunch of buddies north of here that are having a great growing season. Matter of fact, I was just in Minnesota last week, standing up on a bluff, looking over some big bean fields, and it looked good. So depending on where you are, you may want to consider different timing techniques or even blends to establish those fall food plots. Let's talk timing, the appropriate time to plant food plots first. A lot of folks get excited and about this latitude, think about August 15th or maybe even earlier, a bit north of here. And down south, Labor Day is the big traditional planting time. Man, we got a 3-day weekend. Let's go plant some plots. But if you want to put the odds of success much higher, switch from a calendar date to conditions. Ideally, fall food plots should be planted about 45 to 60 days before the first average frost date in your area. You can look that up online really easily. Here, our first frost date is about October 15th to 18th, depending on which site you use. So if I go 60 days before that, that's August 15th. And we really get serious about planting August 15th. But if we're still in a drought like this, there's no need to plant. Remember, those seeds put in the soil that don't get moist soon, well, they're taking energy surviving in that harsher environment than in a bag in a cool, dry area. So I don't want to plant until there's ample soil moisture or a really good chance of rain in the forecast, no matter the calendar date. That's kind of the when. Let's talk about how. So in these drought areas like this, where we're not having really thick cover, I mean, sunflowers are very drought resistant and the milo is very drought resistant. It's been dry enough that the other crops certainly grew, but the browse pressure's been heavy enough in this field that they've wiped a lot of it out. Now, if you look down, you see a lot of the mulch from last year laying around and a few weeds, but without that mulch or using the release process, this would be a weedy mess. If you've been using the release process or something similar where you're improving soil quality, which means you've got armor on the soil, you probably don't have too many weeds. And in this field, the weed pressure is low enough, I'm gonna drill, get to Genesis and drill right in here. My sunflowers will be mature by then. Whether that seed is standing or laying on the ground, it's gonna attract deer, doves, whatever. So I'm just gonna drill right through here. But I'm gonna plant a really robust blend. When I say robust, a lot of different species and a lot of seeds per acre. I need it to bust out of the ground and outcompete the weeds here. My mission for this blend, I helped design it, is of course to attract deer. That's what we want to do, right? See more critters, observe more critters, get some venison for the freezer. Have that big diversity in there so it's feeding the soil microbes. They took a beating in this hot, dry summer. And next spring, because we had a few weeds make seed in here, just be thick and lush and solid and outcompete any weeds. That's my goal, and we're calling this plot release. It's got a lot of seeds per acre. It's a different combination of species I've used for years, based on my experience and the experience of others, designed to meet the mission I just described. In my smaller food plots, they're an 1/8 acre or so. We call them hidey-ho food plots. Some people call them kill food plots. My goal is to attract deer. That's my primary goal. In an 1/8 acre, it can be tough to grow enough forage to really improve the soil. You make gains, but not as fast in a larger food plot. So we've created a hidey-ho blend That's the number one mission, is to attract deer throughout the season. And secondary mission is to improve the soil, suppress weeds. It's a different combination of species, different densities of those species, and it's specifically designed for those high-yield plots. We've got about 10 or 11 high-yield plots, and that's what we'll be planting in all of them.
Growing Deer is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Also by Green Cover Food Plots, Winchester, Lacrosse Footwear, Moultrie Mobile, Fleet Outdoor Apparel, Morel Targets, RTP Outdoors, Fourth Arrow, Hunt Stand, Scorpion Venom Archery, Case IH Tractors, Ward Laboratories, Burris Optics, National Land Realty, G5 Broadheads, Prime Bows, and Redneck Hunting Blinds.
As I mentioned earlier, I got a lot of buddies that have had a great growing season this year, and they've got great crops right now. Some of them are asking me, hey man, do I need to crimp this? Do I need to herbicide? And what I've found from a lot of experience is if you've got a really good summer crop, you don't want to clean the table. You know, if you invite Daniel and I over to hunt with you or work with you, hey, stay a couple days, have some fun, but you stop feeding us, I promise you, we'll go somewhere else. Same way with deer. Why would you want to disc or herbicide all your food plots unless you got a big weed issue? Terminate all that food for 2 or 3 weeks. That's just sending the message to your local deer herd right before hunting season, hey, I'm not welcome here. I need to go find food somewhere else. So if you've got a pretty good crop, weed pressure is minimal or non-existent, I encourage you to drill right through that standing crop. The drill will knock down some of the vegetation enough for ample sunlight to get down to the soil and cause that new crop to germinate and grow. But at the same time, you leave enough forage out there for deer to continue feeding there daily. Some folks don't have access to a no-till drill, and I realize that. You know, you can buy them, you can rent them from the NRCS, and what I'm seeing a lot of folks doing is 3 or 4 buddies getting together, splitting the cost and forming a little no-till co-op. That works really well. I think more and more people will do that. But if you're broadcasting, you want to make sure that when you walk through the crop, you can see your boots about 50% of the time. If you don't see your feet 50% of the time, there's probably not enough sun getting down to allow that new crop to germinate and really grow rapidly. And in that case, you're going to need to do something, most likely herbicide, to thin down that existing crop so the new crops get enough sun to germinate and grow. Some people want to use herbicide, and that's okay, but if you herbicide a crop, as soon as that standing crop starts drying up and browning out a little bit, light's going through, you want to broadcast your seed. Don't wait until that crop falls over, or there'll be all that duff on the ground, and the seed will have a hard time making seed to soil contact. It'll still get warm and moist at some time when it rains, it'll germinate, but if that root doesn't get in the soil quickly, that seedling will die. A lot of people wonder how to get seed. Green Cover offers free shipping and sells online, or they have a lot of drop points. I'm a drop point. I'm a member of a local deer co-op, about 60 plus people in our local deer co-op, and I've got a pretty good driveway and a big shop. So Green Cover send a bunch of seed here, and other people pay for it. I don't have anything to do with the money or anything. It's called a drop point. And once he gets in, I let him know, hey, your seed's here, and they just come pick it up. No paperwork on my end or anything like that. So you might want to get a hold of Coat and Green Cover, see if you're close to a drop point, or you just need to order online. Again, with free shipping, it's easy to get it there. Now, if you order enough to get on a pallet, I think that's like 250 pounds, your overall price is going to be less, and that's based on quantity. So if you and a buddy order some seed together, you'll save some money. I just want to share once again that if you're in an area that is experiencing a great growing season, your primary determinant of when you're going to plant, and of course making sure there's a good rain in the forecast, a half inch or more, a really high quality, ample soil moisture, and you want to be about 45 to 60 days from the first frost. That's really quick to you boys up in northern New York and Michigan, places like that. In an area like I am where the drought's impacted, you're still paying attention to that 45 to 60 days before the first average frost date. And that's just so your plants can grow enough to hopefully survive that first frost But more important than that, if you're in the drought, you need ample soil moisture. And unless the weatherman's saying, man, there's 2 inches coming, 99%, I'll probably at least get 1 rain, make sure there's some soil moisture, and then try to plant right in front of the next rain. That's especially true if I'm broadcasting. It's really important to broadcast right before a rain event. If you're like us, you're using or at least starting a release process, and you follow the steps, you can't be cutting corners, then even like in a wicked drought like we're experiencing, you'll still produce high quality food and you suppress a lot of weeds. That gets you out of paying for herbicide, fertilizer, all those things. And it's much less expensive to spend a bit more on seed than to purchase and take time to apply and spend the diesel fuel and all that on herbicide and fertilizer. Understanding these natural processes like the release process is a great way to learn more about and enjoy creation and make your life simpler. But even more important than that, I hope you take time every day to intentionally seek the Creator's will and apply that wisdom to your life. Thanks for watching Growing Deer.